Hi, just want to take a second and talk about my app that was made for my final project in CSE335. This app is called Nutritious, and it's basically an app that allows you to enter in the food that you've eaten and your personal information like weight, height, and a few other things, and check it against your daily needs for both protein and calories, so you can know how much you need to eat in order to stay healthy. Some different design elements that are used in the app include core data, UI image picker view, JSON web API calls, Grand Central dispatch, UI web view, and UI table view. I'll get into a little bit more specifics about them later on in the presentation. So the first thing that you need to do when you open the app is to either create or select a profile. You do this by selecting the profile button that's in the top left corner of the main screen. And once you get to your enter profile section, you put in information like your name, your height, and your weight. And you can also choose a picture from your camera just to make it a little bit more personal. Once you do this, you choose options like pregnancy or whether you have a serious injury to make the calculations more custom for you. So once you've selected a profile, now we can add a food. So just for this example, we'll do Fruit Loops. Um, So you first type out your food name and also how many servings of it you had. Once you've typed it out, you click search. And what this does is it makes an API call to Nutritionix food database, and that will receive both the protein and the calorie information. Once the search is completed, you can click save, and it's added to your food table. The next view is the food detail view. Um, from the main screen, you can see a table of all of the foods that you've entered in, as well as the protein and calorie needs that you have. So once you click on one of the foods, you're taken to the food detail view, and that shows you the proteins and the calories associated with that food. And it also gives you a button for more information about the food. You click the More Info button, it generates a search that goes to nutritionfacts.org search page, and it will be specific to the food that you are on, and it'll show you different journal articles and more information about the specific food that you selected. So here's a look at the main class diagram of the program. You can see in the middle is the main view controller where everything starts. You have the main table view that lists all of the food that you've entered, as well as a button to view the profiles, as well as to add another food. It also stores the values for the calorie needs and the protein needs for the profile that's selected. That directly accesses information from the person detail view controller, which stores the person item information. And in that person item, you can see different data structures for a picture, a name for them, age, height, weight, and it's not implemented yet, but activity level is in there, as well as if they're pregnant or if they have a serious injury. So that's all stored within core data. And we also see the custom class of a food item that has a name, a calorie amount, protein amount, um, and then how many servings is used for it. The class to get all of the person's information is seen as the get person info view controller. And that's basically where you see the list of age, height, weight, and other information that you can enter in about each profile that you create. And all of that information is viewed in the person select view controller, which shows another UI table view that lists each profile created and has the picture next to their name. Now on the food side, once you tap on a food, you can see the food detail view controller that shows all of the information contained in that food. And the rest is pretty self-explanatory. There's the add food view controller that contains a text field for the name, also the serving amount, and a button to search. So here's a look at the basic MVC diagram of the app. You see in the center is the controller, and that contains the delegate and data source for all of the table views. It also contains the information that's needed in order to call the API to get all of the food nutritional information. It also handles sending and reading profile information to and from core data. It'll also update the view. And within the view, that handles presenting the information in the table views, both the food information and the person information. The web view, which shows you the web search of the food that you selected. It also lets you choose a profile picture and display the nutritional needs of each profile that's selected. Within the model, it's fairly simple. It's just there's a class to handle the calculations for nutritional needs for each profile in a needs calculator class. And that is where the core data is held. The capabilities of this app are pretty straightforward. Search, store, and calculate. The search function searches the food database and returns nutritional information. The store function uses core data so that the person who uses the app doesn't have to enter their information every single time. And the calculate functionality contains algorithms to calculate a person's nutritional needs based on the information that they entered in. There are a few limitations to the app. One of them being the food search is fairly limited. Basically how it works is it takes the food name that you entered and returns the first value that it finds in the database. So this could be improved by taking, say, the first 5 or 10 items that are returned from the database and displaying them in a table view, so you can manually select which one you want to use. That would just add a little bit more functionality to the app. Another thing that can be added down the road is the ability to save a list of foods to a specific profile so that you can keep an ongoing list of all the foods that you've eaten rather than having to enter them in every time you open the app. This would be convenient and be able to save the user a lot of time. Finally, another limitation is the limited amount of nutritional info that's available on the app. Some room for improvement would be adding additional needs, including fluid needs. It's also possible to add in different options for a user, like if they wanted to lose weight. Some lessons that were learned while developing the app included the use of dispatch queues. Those helped a lot when I was dealing with core data and JSON calls, especially when you have to wait on user input. When you make a JSON call, it can take a while to process that, and usually if you don't create a dispatch queue for that specific call, the user interface will update before the call has been made. So creating a serial queue for the JSON calls helped a lot. And with the core data, it was useful to have a concurrent queue so that while the core data was being saved, you were able to update the user interface so the core data can be saved in the background and you can keep on using the app. Additionally, it was a good practice using the JSON data processing, just diving a little bit deeper into it than we had earlier in the semester. Finally, it was good to be able to use UI WebView, which I hadn't used before. So it was good to see how you're able to pull up a website and search that specific website within the app. And that's it. Thank you for taking the time to learn about my app.